never bad at school, right? I was never a bouncing off the walls, hyperactive, causing trouble kind of kid. That just wasn't my style. Okay, I did cause trouble once when I punched that kid in the face, but I had good reason for that. And there were a few other minor incidents as well, but on the whole, I was never bad, I never misbehaved. So why then did I absolutely dread, year on year on year, parents' evening? It's the usual suspects, isn't it? Them. My so-called parents. I don't remember my first parents' evening, but the second, they came back, they'd hired a babysitter or something, and I, quite casually, quite politely, asked what they said at school. Oh God, the bollocking I got. Because apparently it was the same as the year before, that the teachers had said I was stupid and silly. Stupid and silly. That doesn't make sense to me. First of all, that doesn't sound like language that... This is the mid to late 90s we're talking about. That's not the kind of language that teachers were using even then. They wouldn't outright say to somebody's parents, oh, he's stupid, he's silly. No, they wouldn't say that. And the thing is, I wasn't stupid. Definitely wasn't stupid. And silly, maybe I was over-imaginative sometimes, maybe my ideas were... Well, we know, this is me we're talking about. My ideas would have been off the wall. Crazy. Stealing the death warrant of Charles I to bring down the government, mad. But silly? Would they have said that? Perhaps, oh, they might have said, oh, he can be a little bit silly sometimes. But they wouldn't have outright said, oh, he's just stupid and silly. Not 2 years in a row. Not 3 years in a row even, because it was the same year on year on year. I was never allowed in, by the way, at primary school. They didn't do that. It was, well, it was parents' evening. It was just teachers, parents, let's have a little chat, see how he's doing. But year in, year out, I don't want to pretend like I was some kind of genius kid or anything. Like I was some super intellectual genius child, because I wasn't. I was kind of, I suppose, a kind of average student really, but I can't work it out. Why would my so-called parents come back from parents' evening every year and say that the teachers had said I was stupid and silly? My school reports, they didn't back this up. I know because I read them, and they never said anything like that. My school reports never said that, and the teachers never pulled me up on anything like being stupid or silly. Maybe once in a while they'd think I was a bit weird, yeah, but they never pulled me up on it. They never said, okay James, you're being a bit stupid, you're being a bit silly, come on, calm down a bit. I don't remember them ever saying that. I don't think the answer lies with the school, with the teachers, because I don't think they'd use language like that. And secondly, they never took me up on any of that kind of stuff. So I think the problem is them. As usual, it all boils down to them. Doesn't make sense, does it? Sure, maybe one year they misinterpreted what the teacher said. Perhaps the teacher said, oh, he can be a little bit silly with his ideas sometimes. And perhaps they took that the wrong way to mean I was... That doesn't make sense either. Because I wasn't like that as a kid. My ideas were off the wall, but I was never a silly kind of child, because I'd have never got away with that kind of thing. It's why I'm such a goofball these days, why I do crazy things like steal the death warrant of Charles I. And there's the fact that year on year on year on year, it was the same thing. As if shouting at me was going to correct this problem. Let's examine the evidence we've got so far. Earliest memory being shouted at, being abused for not speaking properly, not being allowed to be a child. There was the weird Haribo incident when they were in the room, when the advert was on. And then there's this, coming back from every parents' evening and saying I was stupid and silly, when they must have known that I was nothing like that. Either they were flipping demented, or they were using these things, these moments as excuses to vent their frustrations on me, to take it out on me. And I think it's the latter. I think they were looking for any reason, any tiny little reason to attack. And parents' evening, of course, scheduled once a year, perfect recurring excuse